I'm interested in Parkinson's because as a neurologist who specializes in movement disorders as well as a clinical researcher, there is a tremendous need to improve treatments to help symptoms as well as treatments to slow the progression and reverse the causes for Parkinson's. So the goals of our research are to really try and parse, to separate out different causes of Parkinson's and to focus on specific causes so that we can do a much better job as far as testing therapeutics so our clinical trials can really be much more efficacious. We've had a lot of exciting agents come out for treatment of Parkinson's, but so far we haven't had anything that has clearly modified the underlying course of Parkinson's. So it's great that we have good symptomatic therapies, but we need these disease-modifying therapies. And the goals of our research are to understand one particular type, the type of Parkinson's associated with mutations in the glucocerebrosidase gene, and also some types of Parkinson's that may have an effect on glucocerebrosidase even though there aren't mutations. And so what we're doing is looking at biomarkers associated with this gene, and we're very fortunate in looking at our samples as well as samples from the Parkinson's disease biomarker program and other cohorts to be able to look at these markers and see whether they're potential candidates to use as markers in clinical trials. And also we hope in looking at these markers that we'll understand better what's going on and causing the Parkinson's. The way I see our work helping other researchers is both from a standpoint of understanding what's going on as far as informing what's going on with the pathophysiology of glucocerebrosidase-related Parkinson's. I also see that it will help clinical trials in giving us better benchmarks and ideas of markers of progression. And finally, I think that our research will help others in that we are sharing data directly into the PDPP consortium, into the DMR, which will help others to look at the direct data and perhaps come up with new and additional conclusions. So our hope is that the way it will ultimately help people with Parkinson's is that we'll be able to really develop better clinical trials and come up finally with good disease-modifying agents. And the hope is that our work will inform these trials by giving us better biomarkers. So when we think about Parkinson's disease, we talk about it as if it's just one disease, but actually there are multiple different causes, and people with Parkinson's have different symptoms and different levels of progression. And our work is looking at trying to break down into one particular cause of Parkinson's, and even within that there's some variation, but the idea is that in looking at a specific cause of Parkinson's that we'll get even better at understanding the treatments. And one of the barriers to Parkinson's trials so far has been that we're looking at Parkinson's as if it's one disease, and we're not separating it down. And it's a very exciting time in Parkinson's research in the fact that we will have trials for a particular genetic factor that predisposes to Parkinson's. And in having those trials, we'll be able to look just at a subgroup and have a better sense about whether these agents are working and how they're going forward. And our work particularly is focused on this one genetic form and the enzymes and what we call the substrates, what's associated with that the protein is changing as well as the product, and looking at these, how they change in time, with the idea that these will help us really better develop markers for clinical trials. The other exciting thing about this is, even though this is one particular determinant for Parkinson's, we do think it's applicable to another subgroup of Parkinson's. So we're looking into that and looking at these same enzyme, the substrate, and the products with this as well.